just to set the stage for today's discussion. So we know that companies around the globe have approached digital transformation, and it's an ongoing initiative that recent events like COVID-19 have only accelerated. And we all know that implementing a strong and effective quality strategy is imperative in this new era. So today, this panel of experts in the QA industry are here to help you all understand how to apply best practices and fully integrate test automation throughout your development lifecycle, which will allow you to move faster without sacrificing quality and reaching your digital transformation goals. You'll learn how they lead QA transformations within their organizations and how your team can further benefit from intelligent test automation with Mabel. And with that, I would like to introduce you to our panelists, or have them introduce themselves to you, starting with Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris. I'm the QA lead at Ritual.
Hello, I'm Thomas Noé. I'm the program quality manager at Colruyt Group, a retail company in Belgium.
Hi everyone, I'm Ian. I'm the resident samurai on Ascendum, Samurai SDET, and I used Mabel on our project back in Career Builder.
Wow, we have a samurai on the call. Exciting. Okay, so let's kick things off with our first question. With the help of things like Agile, DevOps, and CI/CD practices, software development is gaining speed faster than ever to meet the needs of business in this digital era. The problem is many software development teams know that testing has not kept pace with rapid development, which results in a decline in software quality and ultimately customer experience. How do you guys approach quality at your organizations, and how is it optimized to deliver positive CX?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, for a lot of companies, QA can tend to exist in a silo. It's kind of, that group over there that we throw the work over to, and whatever comes back, we fix. So the real way I think, organizations should be looking at it is it's a broader picture. So quality is everywhere. Everybody has a hand in it. And the back and forth is really what counts here. So getting QA really ingrained in as many teams as possible. And that doesn't, necessarily mean that teams need to be kind of looking at, testing like we do, but the collaboration is really what's key here.
Yeah, to add to that, I think also the integration is important, and in Mabel you can have that because you have a connection with user data, so where users are clicking. So there you can make the bridge towards more the design and the product teams, as well to support teams, to indeed explain what you're testing and also the critical paths of your customers, so that you're aware of them and that you indeed are trying to indeed help the customers.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Chris, I bet customer experience must be really important at any e-commerce platform like Ritual.
Definitely. The CX is really our first line. So anytime, and we deploy rapidly too. So anytime a customer has an issue with their address or their account or whatever it may be, we're going to hear it from them first. So it's an excellent triage point. It's a great place to kind of jump in and really start. And we listen to our CX team. They're our eyes and ears, and there's only 2 of us, and there's many more of them. So it's, they're our kind of our Swiss Army knife. They're able to do everything, and they really kind of inform where we prioritize issues on the site. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right, on to the next question. How have your teams transformed after implementing Mabel and other modern testing strategies?
I can answer that. I guess for me, it's 3 points. So transformation, maintainability, and then slacking off. All right. So when I said transformation, so one of our challenges back then, given to us by Nico Mahas, our director of QA in Career Builder, was to have the automation to catch up, with our fast-paced releases. And back then we only have, 5 QEs, including me, but we have a ton of manual QAs. So with Mabel, we transformed those manual QAs to to basically automation. So I know some of our guests here knows the idea of, I mean, that some of the manual testers have this fear of, shifting to automation. So with Mabel, our QA team was like a breeze, or I mean, they were like, really comfortable with it. Second point is maintainability. So we maintain a lot of scripts, Selenium scripts, and we know that scripting, having a ton of scripts is a nightmare in terms of maintenance. So with Mabel's, auto healing and stuff like that, other features of Mabel, we cut our maintenance time. So that comes on my third point, which is slacking off. So I can slack off as a lead. I'm just kidding. So slacking off in a sense that we had more time on focusing on other stuff that that we need to, that are critical to our quality. So we, as a lead back then, instead of me spending more time on helping the team maintaining our scripts, I moved to looking into some of our pain points or our challenges as an organization in terms of quality. So that's how Mabel transform our team.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a great point with the time savings here. I think with your traditional automation strategies, if you've got whether that be a huge Selenium repo that you're constantly having to update, or maybe you're using feature flags in your development, and so you have to make sure that each variation is caught when you're testing. Maybe we'll just kind of abstract that away from you, so you can really, and this is especially important for a QA team of 2, like we have at Ritual. We're a small engineering shop, so there's a lot of stuff going on all the time. We just launched our men's vitamins recently, so we've kind of been heads down working and shipping things constantly. So now with Mabel, it's much faster. The test cycle is much faster. We can get in there and make changes really quickly, and then just really spend our time, heads down prioritizing manual testing.
Cool. Thank you both for answering. On to the next question, and it's sort of related, and I know that Thomas is going to have some thoughts on this. Is there a cultural shift that's needed to accelerate test automation? What does that look like at your enterprise?
Well, this is it's all about indeed transformation, because what I saw is that Mabel helps to move or to make a transition, to make a cultural shift in your organization, especially in the delivery organization, because with Mabel, you need to transform culturally the way how QA engineers need to react, because you are going from an executional role towards a more advisory role. That's just one thing. Second, with Mabel, you can also make the tool central and interacting developers in your tool, interacting with product owners, product managers, with designers, because the flow is visually, you can easily explain what you're testing, what you're doing. So you can also indeed, you will shift more critical paths in your testing pack, in your test automation strategy. So that's also a win on that side. And also you can even ask support engineers to review your tests or help setting up your tests. And on the other hand, the QA goes to indeed, as I mentioned, to an advisory role, which means you start to create your tests, and then at a certain moment, the developers are gaining traction. They want to debug your tests. They see notifications, and then you make your tests blocking your pipeline. So there you have you force respect from the developers towards you, towards your tests, and then at a certain moment they start to create tests themselves. So you have a win-win situation, and I think Mabel is not just 1 + 1, and then you have 2. No, it's a combination of more factors. So you also replace not just a tool like Selenium. Mabel is indeed plays a crucial part in transforming your culture.
Can you elaborate on that, Thomas? What do you mean that Selenium, you're not just replacing Selenium?
No, indeed, totally not. I saw many problems with Selenium. First of all, a lot of developers didn't respect the test outcome. Nobody cared about that. The QA engineers were sitting in their corner. They were busy with their tests. Nobody cared about them. They even didn't know what was the output of their tooling. The tooling was too weak. The test cases were too weak, were too fragmented, too small. And with having Mabel as a tool, this enables you to indeed create more visibility, create more respect, and also indeed be faster and create more end-to-end flows, which are more important for the customers. So it's all about the customers, and having too small tests as well that doesn't focus you on what does matter, and it's all about the user. So you shift your mentality, your focus towards the user by having such a tool as Mabel.
That makes sense. It all relates back to that customer experience.
Yep, and I agree on Thomas. To add on that one, because we are on this era of shift left mentality, right? Wherein we have to, we have to focus more on the left side of the SDLC, and with Mabel, it's not only the QAs that are getting the benefit out of it. It's also the devs, also the POs and the BAs. They get a chance to build their own tests, or when they're creating the requirements, they can build their own, tests against that requirement. So that is a basically it's helping the shift left mentality, to go smoothly on the enterprise or on your process level.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's democratizing testing across the software development lifecycle, and that's benefiting sort of everyone along the way. Right, Ian?
Yep. Sorry, I was coughing.
Okay.
I don't have COVID. I'm just itchy throat.
Good disclaimer, Ian. All right, let's get on to some of our next questions. This is a fun one. What best practices within Mabel have you adopted that has been especially helpful for you and your team?
Well, that's also a very practical one, and I like that a lot, because with Mabel, you need to be smart, you need to be intelligent, and Mabel as well forces you to constantly need to evaluate your tests, meaning you need to start first with small tests which are meaningful, critical paths, user paths. You check with support, with product managers, with the designers even, and then once you have that small, good, stable set, you make them blocking your pipeline. And once they are indeed providing you that added value and that output and that stability, at that moment you can build on top of that and build other tests, and also perhaps add more assertions in your current test pack. So that's indeed a very important thing that I learned along the way. And another thing is that, having your tests, you need to constantly evaluate, is it the right test? Should I not duplicate my test? Should I not throw it away and make a new one? Because with Mabel, in 5 minutes, you can create a new test. I'm serious, that's super easy. Once you understand Mabel, how it works, 5 minutes, and you create a nice test, which takes 10 minutes averagely. So that's very important indeed, to constantly evaluate your tests. Is it finding what I need, what you need to find in your software application? So that's my take on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So sort of start small, build stable tests, and build on them from there.
Yeah, correct, indeed.
Cool. Go ahead, Chris.
To add on to that, so like anytime you're dealing with a test suite in an e-commerce application, there's obviously your critical path. So anything that goes through checkout, we want to make sure it's working. Anything around the cancellation experience, we want to make sure that that's supported and up and running. So the best way, we've really found to make sure that we're really prioritizing test maintenance here is just kind of developing SLAs for those. So those are, basically like anytime we have a test that is labeled checkout or account or cancellation, immediately before the release goes out, we're in there fixing it. And because Mabel is so easy to use, it's like, all right, log in, quickly fix it, rerun the test locally, and boom, you're out to production. So it's, Mabel makes it much faster, and it's easier to sort of incorporate a strategy like that using that tool.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm sure will resonate with a lot of people setting SLAs. All right, this question is sort of, I'm interested to get all three of your takes on this one. Is there any advice you'd give people who are now just embarking on their first quality transformation project?
Yeah, this is a good one. I think for me, at least, it's don't be afraid to start over. Whatever you're moving to, maybe you don't have anything right now. Maybe you're evaluating Mabel and you don't even have a test suite. You just kind of want to see how it works out. Mabel is super easy to just, the test creation process is a snap. It really is. And when you're building these tests, to really try it out, there's so many features that you can use. So, try all of them out, feel free. But if, you kind of hit a roadblock down the road, don't be afraid to just start over. You can duplicate the test. You can move it into its own sort of like little plan where it's like safekeeping. But, if you have to kind of nuke everything, that's fine too, because it is really easy to just get back up and running.
Yeah. My view on is that you need to embrace the change. You need to come out of your comfort zone. Don't count on your knowledge that you gained, but try to indeed open yourself for new tools. Try to indeed be more efficient and step into the advisory role. You don't always need to find bugs yourself as a QA. Let also the developers find bugs, help them to find bugs. And with Mabel, you can enable that. You can make that shift to the left. So, and the shift left is also important for QA engineers. We need to play a role in lowering our execution way of working, but we need to do more advisory, so supporting, and on top of that, exploratory testing. With Mabel, while you're creating your test, you're exploratory testing at the same moment your environment, your software. So that's a very big gain, I see.
Yeah, for me, it sounds like a cliche, but what I learned from my mom, and I keep on telling my friends, don't stop asking questions, or keep learning new things. Don't be afraid of trying new things. So we know that the trend right now is DevOps, cloud, scriptless automation, which is Mabel, AI, and stuff like that. As technology progresses, we have to evolve. So that's the only thing that I can share and slack off. Just kidding.
Nice. All right. I'm going to start taking some questions from the audience. The first question is, for each of your companies, what has worked better? Separate QA and dev teams or dev testing, i.e. developers are also the testers?
Oof. It's subjective, actually, because it depends on the complexity of the project for us. But most of my experiences is we don't have a separate team for the QA team. It's always baked on the team itself, and we do it as a service, what we call automation as a service, or a QA as a service, wherein any project teams can tap onto the QA team. It's like, hey, you need help here, and build the automation there. And then devs also do the tests on some of our projects. But again, it's still subjective because, there's still some developers, there's still some QAs, that doesn't have that mentality of, if I'm a dev, I'm only gonna code. I have QA, so I'll let them test. So there's still those mentality. So it's still subjective as a project.
Yeah, I think on my side, on this, I saw many ways, indeed, QA teams outside teams, but in my experience, that wasn't a good thing. So in my opinion, if you ask me, like if you have two dev teams, one QA is enough. And there you can then play the support role and help that team. And if that team is doing very good and they don't see or expect that there is a QA engineer who is doing the test work, they will do it themselves. So you need to help them doing the testing. So at that moment, indeed, you can lower your resources and you can indeed help them to shift left as well in their mentality that they own the code, they own the user story. They put it on done, and they don't expect somebody else to putting the story on done to validate it.
Yeah, and I think I mean at Ritual, I was the first QA hire, but they already had a very, very strong culture of testing on the developer side, so I was lucky in that respect. And it is a small but mighty team, but so like when any work hits QA at Ritual, the developer's already written test steps for it, so it's, you know, they have that mindset that ultimately it is their code. They're responsible for the quality of their code, and they're here to really contribute to a really nice handoff to QA, and then we kind of take it from there. But I mean, it's kind of a dance. So you're coordinating back and forth. The developers provide as much information and context about what is to be tested as they can, but you know, we are still the QA team. We're kind of a team underneath the engineering organization, but we work so closely with the developers that it really just, you know, we're just kind of there. So and that's what I really like.
Nice. Chris, just a follow-up question on that. Are the developers doing, what kind of testing are they doing? Is it like unit and integration tests? Are they doing end-to-end tests before they hand it off?
Exactly. So the developers are writing all their unit tests, and then we take those, kind of look at them, see exactly what they're hitting, kind of correlate those to the test steps, and then build tests in Mabel. So, and this is prior to, you know, even like having a branch merged into our develop branch. So very, very early in the deploy stage, we can kind of build something in Mabel, make sure that it works, validate everything in the ticket, and then get it out quickly.
That's awesome. Cool. Couple other questions. How does test automation like Mabel translate into business value for each of your businesses?
Time, definitely. I think like Mabel's such a time savings for us. Like, and I think any QA engineer who has worked with Mabel, even for a little bit, and who's also worked on a much more difficult to maintain test suite, would be the first to kind of say that as well. It's just so fast. Like anything you need to do can be branched or changed or duplicated, assertions. And you know, the real value add when I was first looking at Mabel was the kind of the machine learning aspect of it. Like what is actually, you know, can you really do change detection? And I was, you know, pretty blown away at what it can really do. And seeing that in a production environment, you know, just seeing like, hey, we flagged a change and I'm not really sure what happened here, but then I can go to the marketing department and say like, hey, you know, have any image assets changed? And oh, they have, like, perfect. Then it just, these feedback loops become so much quicker when you're using Mabel versus, you know, another solution.
Yeah, and to add to that, it's more of, if you're using Mabel, you're more on focused on customers centric tests than scripting. Because, you know, if you're scripting, you're testing like your mindset will be like on the logical or, you know, technicalities of do I use for loops for each or stuff like that. But with Mabel, you're seeing your application itself. So you're building tests as if you're a customer. So your focus are more now on what will the customer be doing, and by that by using Mabel, you're basically, you know, helping quality on drive quality that, you know, the customer needs, and not really the technical aspect part.
Awesome. We have about 5 minutes left. I just want to remind everyone watching to submit questions. We still have some time, so submit them in the upper right-hand corner Q&A box. Okay, on to the next question. And this one's specifically for Chris. Can you give examples of types of SLAs you use at Ritual?
Yeah, so kind of like referring to my original example where we have different tests running in different kind of repositories, 3 major ones. We have our marketing site, which is ritual.com. We have our checkout, so that's checkout.ritual.com, and then account, which is the same convention. So each one of those, like as we're building the tests, we kind of, you know, get to thinking, all right, what are we really expecting here? And so we at Ritual, we use a lot of integrations. So we're using Stripe and Checkout, and we're using different kind of providers on the back end. We have Talkable for referrals and that sort of thing. So really digging into the vendor data is where you would start to sort of create an SLA. And we also, we have user analytics. So we're using Full Story and Google Analytics and all those good services. So just really digging into the data there will let you kind of see where the curve is, and then you can kind of make expectations based on what current acceptable levels customers are seeing right now. So say checkout, when you click the checkout CTA, we want to make sure that's being sent depending, in a certain range within 3 seconds. So as soon as you hit that button, we can safely assume that within 3 seconds, you're going to be a Ritual customer. So if we break SLA there, we can measure that via Mabel and then alert on it, and kind of do a little digging there. So it's a great jumping in point, I think, to really see, maybe we had a dependency upgrade last week, maybe, something's changed there. Maybe there's a resource issue with our infrastructure, so we can kind of dig in there. But having those SLAs just really kind of makes you look closely into things that can typically get missed.
That's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing. Looks like we're up on our last question. How did you help spearhead the cultural shift needed at each of your organizations to make Mabel successful?
I think it was the start is always, you need to have one person dedicated on Mabel. You have a lot of alerts. If you are building your tests, start small with small tests. Figure out first couple of weeks, how is Mabel reacting to your software? When is it failing? To which assertion is Mabel sensitive to? Because every software has different code behind it. So we need to first get to know how Mabel reacts with the assertions. Certain drop downs are not working or are slow. So we need to performance is also a very important thing there. So you need to all take those factors in mind. The test data is very important. Your environment, how stable is your environment? So these are all factors. You think, yeah, Mabel is failing. Yeah, there is something on my test. No, the environment was broken at that moment, or the DevOps guys were changing something in the infrastructure side or testing something. So that's very important indeed. Know all your factors who can influence your test and control them. And that's very important. And as well, the tests, if they all fail and you have 30 tests, if there is indeed a functional bug or an infrastructure bug, yeah, you need to spend time on debugging those tests. So don't overwhelm you too much with too much tests, because then, yeah, you cannot handle it anymore and you lose control. So that's very important to indeed gain trust in the tool, in Mabel, in the tests, in your surroundings, and then you can build on top of that. And with that knowledge you gained, you help other people to indeed embrace Mabel step by step.